Surprise, surprise, Apple doesn't get banned from North Dakota. We have our first looks at the Model S refresh interior, and Ford promises to go all electric by 2030. Let's get into the tech news. Today, my friends, I am your host, Brett. We're going to be going over the tech news as fast as we possibly can in this round of hot news. Let's start off with the top story today of North Dakota rejects the bill that would have threatened Apple's walled garden. We reported on this in a previous episode of Hot News about how Apple was potentially going to have to open up their iPhones to alternative app stores because of a state Senate bill that was being presented in North Dakota. At the time, I had speculated that even if it did pass, this would likely mean that Apple would just not sell any iPhones in North Dakota. Well, turns out it doesn't even have to go that far because it didn't even get through the state Senate. It has been rejected. So that's not something that Apple needs to concern themselves with at this point. They should probably be focusing on the fact that Epic has filed an EU antitrust complaint against Apple in the European Union, just as a follow-up of the lawsuits that are currently going on here in the US, saying that Apple has done an abuse of its dominant position and in breach of EU competition laws because of its tax, 30% tax that is not good, and Apple's policy give its own services an unfair advantage over other iOS developers. It's just a continuation of the story that we've seen previously. Epic Games decides that this is the fight that it wants to take over. We'll see whether or not the EU takes this any further than just allowing the Epic Games to file this. We'll keep you updated as this potentially progresses moving forward. But now we have some forward motion on viruses on Macs, which I heard was impossible, by the way. I had no idea that this was coming, but the first Apple Silicon optimized malware has been discovered in the wild. We have details of the highly detailed deconstruction of somebody who built a malware to run natively on M1, which is just so ridiculous. Everybody knows that Apple doesn't get viruses. Your Mac can't get a virus because Apple a day keeps the doctor away, and you only go to the doctor when you have a virus. It's science is what it is, okay? And Elon Musk has made it a science of raising money. SpaceX reportedly raised $850 million in a new round of funding, making it so that they have tons and tons of cash on hand, which they're desperately going to need, especially with the launch of Starlink, as well as them trying to get to Mars. They're just going to need an influx of cash. And now we have some influx of pictures of the Model S refresh. We've talked about this previously about how it was supposed to have a yoke steering wheel, but as you can see here, it has a normal steering wheel, which kind of indicates that that is potentially just going to be an option to have the yoke one. But I just want to say for a quick second, if anybody at Tesla is listening to this episode, please, for the love of everything, do not put piano black glossy plastic on the steering wheel. That is going to smudge so easily. You can see the guy's fingerprint smudges in the picture. Glossy plastic has no place in a $90,000+ premium car. Do not do this. This is terrible. The Model 3 wheel's way better. Do not allow this to go to production at all. Just not having that, okay? But we can also take a few other things away from the picture, such as the fact that there are apparently going to be physical buttons for park, reverse, neutral, and drive, which allegedly previously Elon Musk had said that the car was going to detect that itself. Well, now it looks like you're also going to have potential buttons for that. The cup over here is apparently for a kill switch, which is just typical on all unreleased test cars. And we can see that this is the Model S right there with a slightly wider stance, but also has the tow bar right up front. So likely got towed to the service center in Toledo, Ohio. It's not quite clear if Tesla is going to release this in its time frame of March 1st through March 31st. The fact that we're just now seeing our first prototype being out in the wild doesn't really necessarily bode well for that, but we'll keep you updated. And I just want to remind you that we have a special project coming up with the Model S refresh over on UFD Tech, so get subscribed to that. Now let's talk about the big heavy player of Ford's announcing that it's going to go all electric in Europe by 2030, saying that it'll spend $1 billion to convert its factory in Cologne, Germany to its first EV production line on the continent, and that 100% of its passenger vehicle lineup will be plug-in hybrid, zero emissions capable, or all electric by 2024. 2024 is the date for its commercial vehicle lineup, whereas 2026 is the date for its passenger vehicle lineup, and then 2030 is 2/3 of its commercial vehicles will be all electric or plug-in hybrid, while all of its passenger vehicles sold will be pure battery electric. Ford making some heavy moves in the electric vehicle space. We obviously had that announcement from Jaguar a little bit ago that they're going to be all electric by 2025. So the wheels just keep on turning with electric cars being the wave of the future. And Hyundai showing off the new pictures of the exterior of their 2022 Kona electric, which is just going to look like a Model 3. There's nothing different on the interior from what I understand. And literally it's just that they gave it a new front lip, whereas previously it used to have this like cross stitching going on right here to kind of hide the charging port up front, but now it doesn't, and instead it has that Model 3 lip, which I think looks worse and looks like they're just trying to copy Tesla and copy Tesla's hype, and I absolutely preferred the way it was previously, but I'm just one man and I am not buying a Hyundai Kona electric, so don't take my opinion for very much, Hyundai. Waymo is going to take much time to go to San Francisco. They're going to start offering a limited number of cars and riders and will scale over time in San Francisco as they expand out of Phoenix, Arizona. And Chrome OS is going to expand to have a built-in screen recorder, in case you're interested in that. And Google is going to roll out some upgrades to its virtual classrooms. Classroom, Meet, and Workspace are getting a bunch of upgrades. Classroom is getting things that are making photo uploads easier, as well as assigning stuff, and then also just some updates to Meet. We'll leave links in the video description if you need more specific details on what's going on with that. And Google Maps is now allowing you to pay for parking and travel tickets within the Google Maps app using Google Play, and you won't have to go external to the Maps app in order to pay for those, and it's going to be available in 400 US cities. This is just a good integration. Honestly, I think it makes a lot of sense for Google to be doing this. You can see that simple within the app. And it's simply the end of this episode of Hot News, my friends. Why don't you check out the previous episode of Hot News that were released today, or one of yesterday's episodes right over there. Don't forget that we dropped our new merch line to support my son's rare disease. This is his SYNGAP ribbon that has been redesigned into more of a tech flair. We'll leave links in the video description for that. I've been Brett, your host. We'll catch you tomorrow, my friends. Cheers.